Welcome to the House Podcast. Dax is here. Hunter's still MIA. Haven't heard from him in a couple of days, but
this is Hunter.
We got another guy with us, Brandon, Pastor B.
What's going on?
What other nicknames do you have?
Booger.
Okay.
Oh,
all right.
Okay.
Didn't expect that one. Booger. What else? What else you got going?
Be thirsty. Thirsty.
I like that.
Okay. All right.
Thirsty.
All right.
Pastor Thirsty.
Pastor Thirsty.
Pastor. Don't say that. No.
Yes.
Don't go by that
one.
R.I.P. All right. So today's episode is going to be a little bit different. We're going to be calling these the tweet storms. So what we're going to do is I'm going to pull up my handy dandy Twitter that I spend a lot of time on, and we're going to look at tweet threads that people have posted, like either posted once and like kept replying, or people are replying to a tweet, like quotes, thoughts, stuff like that. So today we're going to look at James Clear. He's the author of Atomic Habits. Pretty dope book. Brandon, why are you laughing so hard?
He's so happy.
Camera, I'm so happy to be here. I just feel like there's like 1,000 people watching.
Dude, there's literally 2 million people watching right now, streaming live.
Dax is in his bandana, if you can't tell, with a
No, they can't see it. It's camo.
Right.
I'm so happy.
Yes,
I don't know what to do with my hands.
You just
Brandon, I like how you're a guest on the podcast, yet you have the most legit setup out of all.
This guy's such a pro.
He's got like a legit podcast mic.
Brandon Newhoff over here.
Pop filter, Brandon Newhoff.
Thank you guys so much for donating to the channel. I take all proceeds and I purchase items for myself.
You look like a Twitch gamer.
You just want to get dizzy watching this? Ooh, hey.
I have the virus now.
All right, James Clear's first tweet. This is his top 10 tweets of 2019. The tweets that got the most retweets and likes combined. Okay. Number one. All right, Brandon. So I guess Brandon and Dax, what we're going to do is I'm going to read off the tweet. And if you have a thought, if you have a reaction, go ahead and shout that out. If we got nothing, that's fine. We'll just move on to the next tweet.
All right.
Sound good?
Sounds
pretty
great.
Pretty easy. Pretty easy.
Are these funny things or are they just normal?
They are not funny. No, they are mainly like productive, like better yourself, stuff like that.
Gotcha.
Does that make sense?
So I shouldn't be smiling. I should just.
No, you can smile. You can make as many jokes as you wish.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
All right.
I was prepared for a try not to laugh challenge.
Oh, that'd be fun.
Those are the worst. I feel like people fake those so much.
I'm just already happy in general. So
you're a very happy guy. Every time you come home at midnight. All right. First tweet. Most people need consistency more than they need intensity. Intensity is run a marathon, write a book in 30 days, silent meditation retreat. Consistency is don't miss a workout for 2 years, write every day, and daily silence. He ends it by saying intensity makes a good story. Consistency makes progress. I want to first say this is very simple to his. He's brilliant, dude. He's such a good thinker. But he wrote this book, Atomic Habits, and in that book he had this rule that he called the 2-day rule. So it's like whatever habit you're trying to start, just don't miss 2 days in a row. And in a year from now, you're going to be so much better than you are now. If you go like a week, just like grinding on your habit and then don't do it for a month, like you're not going to be, that week's not going to get you any progress. So he says, if you miss a day, just don't miss twice. That's his rules, not to miss twice. So that's my first thought. Does anybody else have a reaction to that? Consistency is better than intensity. No, moving on. All right.
I have a thought. I have one thought. Well, what if I say this? Consistent intensity. Is that better?
That I think just leads to burnout.
What if I'm going on jogs, right?
Yeah.
But then I turn it into sprints, consistent sprints.
That's fine. As long as it's consistent. He's saying he'd rather have like 5 days of consistent sprints rather than one day of like, oh man, I sprinted for 8 hours today. great, you probably won't be back on the field until like next week. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So that's the consistency aspect of it.
All right.
Moving on. Next tweet.
Moving on. All right, James. I'll give you that one, James.
Yeah. All right.
That's good.
Real wealth is not about money. Real wealth is not having to go to meetings, not having to spend time with jerks, not being locked into status games, not feeling like you have to say yes, not worrying about others claiming your time and energy. Real wealth is about freedom. I don't know how I feel about that one. You like that one?
Is he a Christian?
I don't believe so.
Okay.
I applied for a job to be his like researcher and podcaster, and I said I work at a church and I haven't heard anything back. So I don't think he's a Christian.
So he hates God so much.
Yeah.
Wow.
But he's a good guy. He's a morally good guy.
Gotcha. He'll burn in hell, but
Oh my gosh.
I had to. Man.
Oh,
anything on that? Real wealth is about freedom. You got a thought, Brandon?
Yeah, quick little sidebar. I think I have a nosebleed right now.
Oh.
All right. We let you on this podcast, and this is how you act.
This is how can I have any freedom to go get a towel?
Let's ask James.
Go get a towel. Go get a towel, I guess, Brandon.
Listen, I'm going to consistently check my nose.
You're gone.
You're
just acting.
Okay. Well, so you had an interesting reaction to it. I think for me, it's like success. How do you define success and wealth? And I actually liked the first part of it, and then I didn't totally agree with the second part.
So the first part being the like the listing off. Like I agree. Real wealth is not having to go to meetings.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right? Real, like you agree to those, but you don't agree that real wealth is freedom.
No. What do you think?
Well, I mean, initially when I first read like real wealth is about freedom, I'm like, oh shoot, well that's like as Christians we don't have. Brandon just logged on, so we'll share him a little bit.
What are you?
All right.
I thought I was having a nose. I was having a nose blood.
No,
oh my! That was so drawn out.
This guy.
If you're listening to this, which you probably are,
nose blood.
Brandon came and sat down with a bandana on his
a red one
neck.
By the way,
yeah, a red one. So, all right. So
that was so much commitment.
I mean, that was so like as Christians, I'm thinking real wealth is not about freedom. Like real wealth is. I don't know. The phrase "real wealth is about freedom" just irked me the wrong way as soon as I read it. It's like the Christian life's not about freedom.
Because a lot of people think that freedom. I've heard a lot of people like. So if you can get to a point, I don't know if he's saying this, but to where I'm free from, I don't have to go to meetings. I get to work less because I've kind of set myself up.
Right.
But the thing even in Christianity, I've thought about the idea of like retirement. I'm like, why would I ever want to retire?
Yeah.
I love my job in ministry. Yeah. I don't need to set myself up so I can go live on a beach for 30 years. That would suck to me. Freedom to me is being able to continue to work.
Yeah. I think maybe that's what I felt a little bit of like, I think freedom definitely is like doing stuff to set you up, but it's like, hey, I'm going to do stuff so where when I'm like 35, I can take a vacation with my wife and kids and not have to worry about like, I'm going to lose money or whatever. Like that's about freedom to me. But I think freedom by its, I don't know. Never mind. I'm not going to say that. I'm going to keep that one to myself.
Okay. What you think, Blood?
Yeah, man, you guys are much older than I am, so
I think you're older than me, actually.
Yeah,
I do happen to be older than you, but
yeah, that's what I thought. Blood.
No thoughts, Blood. I'm just thinking about my gang. All
right. No thoughts. Moving on. Next tweet.
I don't have a Twitter, by the way. I need to get a Twitter just for this.
You don't even have a Facebook. All right. Yeah. His next tweet, which I'm going to say I know it because I'm looking at it. I absolutely love this.
Hate it.
Oh, okay. Love it. All right. The ultimate productivity hack is saying no.
I respect it.
You respect it? Why is that?
Let your yes be yes and your no be no.
With some scripture out of there. Where's that found in the Bible, Brandon?
Yeah, I'm going to be honest with you. I heard that from someone else. I didn't even know. I didn't even know that was.
I don't know where it is. That is. Oh, shoot.
I think it's like 2 Corinthians, but I could be totally wrong.
I was thinking a gospel, but hey, it's in the Bible.
I'll be danged. Paul was talking about that.
Yeah, Paul's talking about that, blood. Yeah, the ultimate productivity hack is saying no. It's like, oh, people, I'm so busy. Like, I have to do this. I have to do that because this person asked me to. Like, yeah, they asked you to. If you can't do it, say no and move on.
So what about if you're at the beginning of your career? I think you have to say yes a lot, right?
You do, yes. And I think for a career, it's different because like your career, like typically you're working the 9 to 5, like you have the set hours, maybe not in your position right now, Brandon, being like an intern, but still if you're first year, like in a company or even in a church, like you have set hours that you get paid for. And anything that's in your job that like you're in those hours, like you can't really say no to. But if it's going to take you beyond those hours, like on a Friday night, maybe, or like a Monday night, and no matter how much you love to do it, like if you can't, or you just don't want to, don't have the bandwidth, like say no and maybe reschedule to try to move that into the hours that you actually working. So I know I'm the absolute worst at this, at saying no, because I feel bad and I like to work a lot. So, but
I actually think that's makes a lot of sense too. And I can see the almost a little truth, Brandon, and kind of you pointed that out. I feel like saying yes at first, like you have to say yes to a bunch of things to almost learn to what you can and should say no to. Because I feel like I said yes to a lot of things and I realized, wait, I don't like that at all.
Yeah.
That's not my gifting. And so I was like, wait, I'm saying no to that from now often. So I felt like it almost like kind of shaped me. So now I can confidently say, God has gifted me in these things. That's what I'm doing. And if anything like infringes on those, nah, sorry. But I also feel bad about things. But
I think what I've seen too is like you have to say yes enough times to where you can like withstand saying no to people. Like you have to say yes to where people will start to ask you instead of like your boss telling you or whoever's higher than you telling you. Like you have to get like enough respect to be like, all right, this kid like is a hard worker, he knows what he's doing. Like, you know what I mean? Does that make sense?
That makes sense. Yeah. What would you guys say for
lost
someone?
Dax.
I think did we lose Dax?
Huh?
Are you still there? Oh, you froze up.
So. Okay.
All right. Brandon, what were you gonna say?
Yeah, I was saying, I think we talked about this a little bit earlier before we started this. It's like, what would you say for someone who is scared of confrontation and like saying no? I think there's a different kind of attitude in no versus, yeah, I could do this, you know?
Just gossip behind their back. That's my favorite thing.
Do a tweet storm about them. What we're doing right now.
Are we adding them or no? Do we add them in the post or?
No. You could do a blank at. Just do an at, but then don't tag anybody.
Say this person with black hair and who was wearing a blue shirt today and whose name is,
Dalton.
Rhymes with Drandon.
Yeah.
Yet. Oh, that sounded weird in my ears.
Dalton undercooks ground turkey.
You being kicked out of this, Brandon. Brandon, write that question down. We'll move on to it at the end. All right.
I like it.
All right. Next tweet number 4, I believe, maybe 5. How to be unhappy. Stay inside all day. Move as little as possible. Spend more than you earn. Take yourself and life too seriously. Look for reasons why things won't work. Always consume. Never contribute. That's a good one. Resent the lucky and successful. Never say hello first and be unreliable. Invert to happiness. I'm not going to read that. I think that how to be unhappy is stronger.
That was a lot.
So basically he just said, no wonder you're unhappy because all you do is stay inside and you regret everybody or you resent everyone who's more successful than you is essentially what he just said. Any thoughts?
That's me during this time.
You can say no.
No thoughts.
That's you during this time of Corona?
What's that?
That's you during this time of quarantine?
Oh,
Yeah,
like stay
yeah.
inside?
Yeah, staying inside,
Gotcha.
staying in my bed.
Gotcha. But are you resenting other people? Because other people are inside too.
Yeah, it's
Oh
true.
yeah,
No.
sometimes I hate Dalton. Like his schedule is so busy that I'm just like, man, I want to be like him in a negative way. Like there's a negative hatred towards him about how good he is. I'm jealous who he is not. Maybe we go on to the next tweet.
Yeah. We'll talk, Brendan.
That was good. I like that.
Maybe we need to have a talk after this.
Next post. Your first blog post will be terrible, but your 1,000th will be great. Your first workout will be weak, but your 1,000th will be strong. Your first meditation will be scattered, but your 1,000th will be focused. Put in your reps. That just goes back to
I like
consistency. Yeah.
That's cool.
Some guy retweeted him and said, your 1,000th retweet will be awesome. That's pretty funny.
I like that.
Oh, he followed up. He said, this is only true if you try to make each rep great. You cannot mindlessly put in your reps and expect to meaningfully improve.
Yeah,
that's good. I like that.
That's a good point. Because at first, thinking about preaching in general, someone, who was it? I think we were talking with Dina maybe, and she was like, speaking, you can just try to speak and just get like a ton of stage time and preach a ton, but that doesn't mean you're going to grow. You can get horrible habits. And there's people who've been preaching for 40 something years and they're really boring and not inductive or engaging at all. So she's like having, I forget what the word she said, but preaching and then getting feedback from
deliberate practice.
Yeah, sure. That's not what she said. She said it, in a fancy, really smart way, but we'll go with that. Deliberate practice.
Pretty smart. Right.
All right. There we go.
Brandon?
No, sir.
All right.
That means I covered
words. Made a little words. This one's good. I like this. What can you do?
What do you guys think will happen if I pour this right in my mouth?
What is that? Oh, it's Arizona
Arnold
half
Palmer,
and half.
Half and half.
Like Mio?
I can't tell if he's actually doing it.
Oh.
You're bad. What can you do with 5 good minutes? 5 good minutes of push-ups is a solid workout. Sprints will leave you winded. Writing could deliver 1 good page. Reading can finish an insightful article. Meditation can reset your mood. You don't need more time, just a little focused attention.
I like it.
Yeah.
I'm not convinced time is real, but
okay. He follows it up and says 5 good minutes of a phone call can rekindle a relationship. So I like that.
Yeah, no, that's true.
All right. This one, he quotes Machiavelli. He says, make mistakes of ambition and not mistakes of sloth. Mistakes of ambition, failing on a big goal, creating something nobody wants. Mistakes of sloth, not attempting a big goal, consuming instead of creating. Mistakes of ambition teach, mistakes of sloth comfort. I absolutely love that.
Yeah. Fear will kill more dreams than failure ever will. That's what it reminds me of. I think that's a Chinese proverb.
Dax Vanderwall. You heard that here first, everybody. Dax Vanderwall.
The Book of Dax. That's where it was.
Aim to be great in 10 years. Build health habits today that lead to a great body in 10 years. Build social habits today that lead to great relationships in 10 years. Build learning habits today that lead to great knowledge in 10 years. Long-term thinking is a secret weapon. Again, consistency. Someone replied, the question is how in all capitals. And he sent a book back to his, or he sent the link back to his book. So there you go. Atomic Habits.
Always plugging.
Yeah. That's great. I've heard this yesterday. Actually, I was listening to that YouTuber that you don't like, Dax, the guy from Cambridge. Absolutely. Yeah. I love him. He's a doctor.
Overrated. And
he's not freaking overrated, man. You're overrated. But he said, he's like, he said that he read this in a book, some book that I don't remember the name of, but he said, I try to make decisions today based off of how will this benefit me in a year, which I don't think like he really makes every decision like that, but that's a good mindset to kind of like be in, oh, should I go on this workout? Well, how's it going to benefit me every day if I go on a workout for the next year? Like it's going to be pretty good benefits. So another one, when making plans, think big. When making progress, think small. That's all there is. It's interesting.
Say that again.
When making, wait, what did you say?
Nothing. Go ahead.
With what?
With reading the quote.
Oh. When making plans, think big. When making progress, think small.
Interesting. How would that look?
I think I think it goes back to the consistency thing of like when making plans, like, yeah, in a year from now, plan to run a marathon, but to train up to that, you better run 1 lap around your neighborhood once a day every week, and then increase 1 lap every week until you get to that marathon of a year. I think it goes back to the consistency of like, make your action steps need to be small measures, but they need to lead to a big goal.
I like that.
That's good. I like that.
That is good. I feel like something I heard, another Chinese proverb, is like
when you're watching Kung Fu Panda.
Yeah, dude. So you'll leave Kung Fu Panda with so much material. I've shown so many Kung Fu Panda clips in middle school sermons. It's also kind of bad because it's like Buddhism. But anyway,
yeah, I mean, the whole movie is.
It is, yeah. But the quote is, you don't have to try to be the best. You have to try to get better. Because if you're trying to be the best, then you're trying to, compare yourself to other people who are already whatever. But getting better, it's just about the progress. If you get better every day, I love that. That's awesome.
Like that. All right, a strategy for thinking clearly.
James Clear? I have my own quotes. So.
All right, moving on. A strategy for thinking clearly. Rather than trying to be right, assume you are wrong and try to be less wrong. Trying to be right has a tendency to devolve into protecting your beliefs. Trying to be less wrong has a tendency to promote more questions and intellectual humility. He follows it up. He said, I found a similar quote from Elon Musk about building a company. You should take the approach that you, the entrepreneur, are wrong. Your goal is to be less wrong. That makes a lot more sense than the way he said it. The way he said it was kind of but I like that. It's good.
Yeah, I think that's a great perspective to come to the Bible with. Not assuming you're right about something, assuming you're wrong. The Bible is right. So just try to be less wrong. I kind of like that.
That's good. I like that a lot.
Maybe.
All right, here is his last tweet. Number 10. It feels like there's more than 10, but
that did seem like a lot.
The person who learns the most in any classroom is the teacher. Lesson: if you really want to learn a topic, then teach it. Write a book, teach a class, build a product, start a company. The act of making something will force you to learn more deeply than reading ever will.
I like
Which
that.
is, I know it's definitely true because I know however many like philosophy or apologetic stuff I read, I'm like, oh man, it's such good stuff. And the next day someone's like, hey, like how do you know God or like the problem of evil? I'm like, there's this really good book that you could read and figure out that question. And so, yeah, there's this, looking it up in a book.
Oh, okay.
You guys can talk amongst yourselves.
Can I maybe share a point while you're doing that?
Yeah.
I love you. Yeah.
Yeah. I think that I like that you should teach the whatever it is, because think about how many times when you are like preaching something or preaching a message, how many things you left out of the sermon. Like, you know, so much more about what you're giving to the people. So they're receiving something in the audience like, oh man, that's really good. But really there's a whole bunch of stuff that you left out of the sermon during the preparation. So if you really want to learn something, I think you should take the approach of teaching that.
Yeah, no, that's a great point. It's especially on like a weekend, you can only go so deep, and I'm sure, especially when you hear like even Kurt or something, or get a conversation with someone off stage, it's like, dang, why do you say that up there? There's so much content. No, that's a great point. Yeah. Hey, book guy. Yeah. You all right? Hey, we're in the middle of something. Didn't want to interrupt.
Yeah. There's this. I can't remember if it was this book. Oh wait, no. I think it was this other book called Make It Stick. But there's this method that you write, like the topic on the top of a blank. Like you get a blank sheet of paper, write the topic on top. So the problem of evil. And then you write everything you know about that topic, every answer you know, every question about that topic on the paper. And then you try to teach that to a 5-year-old. Like everything on that paper, you try to teach to a 5-year-old, but you have to hit like every like topic and thing that you have written down. So you have to like really think through it and think it through on a very like small level. So like you're talking to Hunter. Just like think that you're talking to Hunter. So,
have you guys ever heard of KWL charts?
No.
Basically, like while I was in school, before we would go into a topic, we would, like you said, write the topic on the top of the piece of paper, and then in the K section that stands for what you know about it. So
you split into like 3 sections or what?
3 sections. Yeah, you write down what you know about it, and then you go into W, which is want to know, what you want to know about the subject, and then after you've done everything, you go into the L and write what you learned.
No, want, L. That's cool.
That is cool. I like that a lot.
No, just want. That sounds familiar too. I think I did that.
That's the thirsty effect right there. That's what we're gonna call that.
The thirsty KWL charts.
Thirsty effect. All right, that's all we have. So
that's cool.
Yeah, that was fun. I like that.
Back to that question Brandon posed at the beginning.
Yeah, Brandon had how to say no well, I believe is what I heard.
How to say no well. Yeah, for someone who's afraid of confrontation.
That's good. I'm terrified. Let me enlighten me.
I don't know. I'm not trying to brag on this or anything by any means, but do you remember that question? That was a D time Dax of how to say no well, first year of Thrive. And Dina was like, hey, like who says no well? And someone said my name. And I was like,
oh, really?
I was like, I don't know anyone I've said no to.
I only remember things that are about me. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. But my answer was I say no, and then I always try to refer somebody else to do it.
Mm-hmm.
So like, hey, can you do this? I can't, but like film something. Like I can't film it. I don't have time. But Zach can film it, like if he wants to, or you can check with Zach if he wants to. Oh, yeah. So I think that's one thing. And
someone actually just did that for me yesterday, and I super appreciated it because I asked him. Really? He's like, "No, sorry, I don't have the time right now. But you could ask this guy. I think he might be available." And I was like, that was a nice way to respond.
Yeah, definitely. One of the other things too, Brandon, it's like said a lot is like no is a complete sentence. No. Can you do this? No. Period. Like, and I think especially like my dad, he's like in a business, like this biotech business. So he's like, can't you just tell him, like, I'll be working like on a Friday. He's like, can't you just tell him you're like, no, you can't do this. You're at home with your family. I'm like, Dad, but it's not like a company. Like the people are all Christians. Like we're all friends, it seems like. And we all feel like we have to treat each other nicely, and saying no, period. Like, hey, can you be there Saturday at 10 a.m.? No, period. And just sending that back in like a Teams message. It just feels so rude, but it's not. So especially when like once you have a family, it's like people get it. But when you're our age, it's a lot less. It's like, what else are you doing with your life, bro? Playing zombies?
Yeah, if that's the case, like if there's not like a reason of you're not actually trying to steward your own stuff, you just don't want to, then I think it's different. Then that comes in like Jesus came to serve.
Yeah.
So sacrifice, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
That's good though. That's good advice.
That goes back to one of his tweets was like the ultimate productivity hack to saying no. Like if you're saying no because you have your own thing, you have something planned, and that could be hanging out with friends because you need that time, or no, because I want to spend extra time in the morning reading, or no, like I'm doing this thing, trying to learn this new concept. But if you're just saying no because it's not what you have to do when you're just like lounging around the couch. I think that's another thing Dak said of like, that's like, we came to serve. Jesus came to serve, and that's what we're called to do as Christians. So maybe you need to look at that aspect of like, maybe I should serve this person this way, even though it's not convenient for me right now. So, yeah.
Dang. I feel like that one was really just right here hitting me.
Hit you in the heart right there.
I'm pretty. I feel like a pretty selfish person. I've heard that about me many times, and I think it sucks. It sucks to feel that way. How would you advise someone to like turn that around about themselves? Like how can
selfishness?
Like selfishness. How can you switch that?
Dax, I answered the first one, so this one's you.
That's not how it works. I can only say from speaking of from experience, because I'm a big introvert. I like my alone time, and that is manifested, especially when I come home. My mindset and the way that I grew up is like, I'm home, go into my room, deuces, I'm out.
Yeah.
So it started with little tiny sacrifices around the house, and that started with like, if I come home, okay, I need to still talk with a couple people and I don't know, make sure their days went well, which, you know, I'm still working on. That's actually one of the reasons, like I moved into a house with a bunch of people, because I'm like, I need to learn how to sacrifice for people. And so that's like doing the dishes when no one's around, taking the garbage out. I think that stuff is huge. Also, especially
you've done that like 3 times now, so it's good. You've been here for like a year now. Good job.
Thanks for noticing and keeping track and counting. And I think it's honestly, it's going to make me a heckin' awesome husband with my, I was about to pull a,
Don't do it. Don't do it. No.
No,
Smoke.
I can't do it.
Now you're not going to do it.
No, I can't.
I think that is actually, I was telling you guys this before we filmed this podcast because we all live together. But that was one thing that my girlfriend and I, actually my fiance.
Yeah. His fiance that wears the pants in the relationship.
Okay. That was just uncalled for.
It's a shout out to Kendall.
What's
right. You know your worth.
It's true. What like one of our biggest conflicts is that I'm too selfish with my time. Cause like the other day I'm like, I planned to read on Monday night. And then I was going to read for a couple hours, watching YouTube videos, learn some stuff, and then go to bed at like 9. And she was like, you can't just change your schedule because I have family in town and I want to hang out. I want you to hang out with them. And I was like, no, because clearly I had planned to read my book. So I'm definitely selfish with my time in that sense, which a lot of like the worldly stuff is to say like, man, like you do you, like, you know, your goals, like say no to the people, like keep that circle tight. Like that's kind of like the productivity, like tips you like read and watch and stuff, which is the complete opposite of what the church and Christians are supposed to be for, especially for people as close to you, like people that you're dating or your family. So I think that, yeah. So I don't have an answer to that, but I ended up going to her house on Monday night. So if anyone was curious.
Huh? What?
Yeah. They actually pulled out your phone. I saw that. Yeah.
I think something that I just remembered is like one of the quotes that we read that's, it was like, make big plans.
America great again.
Making big plans and then small progress, right?
Oh, small steps. Yeah.
So there's like small things I can do each day to make myself a little less selfish than I already am.
Definitely. Yeah.
Before I would have walked past the full trash can and said, that's not my job. I didn't fill it up. But now I walk past it and then I get this little tug on my heart like, hey man, you should probably go take that out. Right. And then I go and take it out and I just get it done.
Look at that.
Make big goals, have small actions.
Look at that. I like that.
That's pretty cool. It's like a new assumption.
Breaking news. Awesome.
Yeah, I think Brandon, which I've seen you like unload the dishwasher a couple times, like just because it was full. So I've seen that. I've seen you doing stuff even though you don't have to. So I appreciate that. And I think you're definitely growing.
Slowly but surely, I've had to realize there's other people in the house and I need to start wearing more clothes. That is why I bought this robe, even though you gave it to me.
That was a birthday present. Yeah.
Thank you. Great.
Brandon, if anyone's out there and they want to connect with you, how do they connect with you?
You can hit me up on social media, right? On Love Pastor B. You want to type that one in the break? No, it's not going to pop up on the podcast.
I'm following right now.
No, I'll pop that up for people that are watching.
Check it out. Love Pastor B. No spaces. No. Exactly. Just like that.
I just followed.
LOVEPASTORB.
All right. Thank you, Brandon, so much for being here. It's a pleasure to have you on this podcast. Dax, always a pleasure. Thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me, guys. Hey, I'll see you in a second when I come back in our room.
Yeah. Hey, if you're new here, thank you so much for listening to this past 35 minutes of fun and nonsense. If you're not new here and you like this podcast, please leave us a review on Apple Podcast. Share this podcast on Spotify with your friends and shout us out here and there. The House Official. Follow us on Instagram. See you guys in the next episode.